guys, Laura here. I'm here today to talk about the TV show and the book 13 Reasons Why. The novel is by Jay Asher, and it came out as a TV show in mid-March. And I finally got around to finally listening to the audiobook, so I wanted to do my full thoughts now that we know that there will definitely be a season 2, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the book and the TV show, what I thought of it as an adaptation, and why I'm excited for season 2, and what my thoughts are about the controversies that surround it. If you've been living under a rock, this book by Jay Asher follows this character named Hannah Baker. And Hannah Baker, at the start of the book, winds up committing suicide, and she leaves 13 reasons on audio tapes why what are the reasons that led to her killing herself. And you follow this story through the eyes of Clay Jensen as he's learning about Hannah's story and learning why she ultimately decided to end her life. That is basically a premise. The book and the TV show came out in March. Normally, whenever I read, normally whenever try to experience an adaptation, I've talked about this before. I always try to read the book first because I think it gives you like a strong foundational knowledge, and I really try to do that. I've been doing that less recently, and I've kind of liked it a little bit better. And I think I'll do a video about that maybe in a little bit to tell you why I kind of changed my mind. Um, but overall, I decided to start watching 13 Reasons Why, and I said if I was a really big fan of it, I would read the book later. I was blown away. I thought that not only was the show well done, well casted, well written, I thought that it really enhanced the material. I thought that the material that was presented on TV was done in such an effective way, and I thought that it really expanded the world. I really loved it. I think I watched it in about 20 hours, and then I rewatched it. And I really like rewatching it because I think you picked up on things that you didn't necessarily pick up on. So overall, I really liked the TV show. I thought that it was so well done. Um, and that is about when the controversy started coming out, where everyone was saying that it glorified suicide and that it should not even be allowed to be produced. As someone who believes that everything should be produced, it was really, really disconcerting. And as somebody who works with kids, I am currently going back to school to be a theater teacher, as I was a psych major in college. Um, and I have read a lot about suicide and stuff like that. I was really on the other side of it. I think that just because something represents suicide does not mean it's glorifying it. And I think that those are two very different things and two very different topics. And I think that unfortunately for this case, it's been getting a lot of it's been getting just like mulched together. Like just because they showed the suicide does not mean it's glorifying it. And just because they experience it does not mean it's glorifying suicide. I do think it's a very, very hard read. I do think it is a very hard read and watch, so I recommend if anyone is easily triggered. Now it's all out there. This show deals with rape, sexual assault, emotional abuse, and suicide, and it does show the suicide. So if any of those things are just concerning or trigger warnings to you, then I just say if it's not comfortable, then just don't watch it or maybe read it. I think reading it is a little bit, it takes you out of the story a little bit. But I really thought it was well done. I think that a word has to be said about the acting that is in this piece of theater. A lot of times when you get YA dramas, the acting is just, it's not spectacular. But I thought the acting really pulled me in. I really fell in love or fell for the character of Clay, who is the main character, and he's played by Dylan Minnette. Between him and all the other actors, the guy that played Tony, Christian Navarro, the girl that played Hannah, Kathleen Langford, it just, every single character and actor not only was committed to it, but really played their character. And I think the actors really, really, really shined in this piece, and I was very, very impressed by it. So I finished watching the TV show, and I told myself, you know what, I really want to listen to the book. So I listened to the book, and the biggest difference, and there are differences, and I think that the biggest difference that I would say is that the book takes place over one night, and the TV show takes place over like 6 or 7 weeks. So in the book, I think it's just like a short. It's like one night. So the whole after story that they created the TV show doesn't really exist in the book. In the book, the character of Clay talks to like six, like maybe like five people. He talks to himself, his mom, Tony, and that's like it. And so there's like no other there are characters, but you don't see them in the present. You only see the characters on the tape in the past. And I really liked how the TV show created a present storyline because I thought that it was very realistic, and I thought that it was something that, I think that the characters needed. And I needed to see Clay interacting with these people after he heard these stories. I needed that. So I really liked the expanded storytelling. I think that it just captured my heart more. Like, I just was very invested in not only Clay's and Hannah's story in the book, but I was invested in everybody's journeys. And that's what I really liked about it. From episode 1 to episode 13, I grew to care about all of these characters. And in the book, I really only cared about Clay and Hannah. So for the expanded world building, I really love that, and I think that that's why I'm so invested in season 2, and why when we didn't think we were gonna get it, I was really upset because I felt like Brian Yorkie, who's the creator, really created these characters into shades of gray. Not there is no good guy and there is no bad guy. We're just people and we make bad decisions. And I think that that's something that this story does very, very well. And it has a lot of missions. Like, every action that someone does has a reaction. Even if it doesn't click in you or you don't realize it, everything you do has a reaction. And I think that that's another story that I took away from it. But I really like the book. It's just that, like, I felt like the book was like a character study into Clay and Hannah, and the TV show really expanded the world. But I'm very excited for season 2. And one thing I did like about the TV show as well is that I felt like it showed the stages of grief throughout all of these characters in very different ways. And I don't think it showed that any character really deals with something in the same way. And I really respected that. I'm very excited for season 2. It left on some cliffhangers, and there is just some things that I just want to know. Like, I want to know more about Tony. I want to know more about Clay's past. I just want to know this. I want to know what happens with Clay and Sky. So I recommend that if you've been thinking about it, I would actually recommend you watch the show first and then read the book. Because I think for me as a rereader, I like getting an expanded world and then really going in depth about characters. So that's what I would do. That's what I did, and that's what I preferred. But there are subtle differences. I think there's like very subtle differences between the way the story is told in TV and the book. People don't like that. And I think that people can be very highly critical of this. This is just my thoughts. I don't want to get hate comments, but that's just my thoughts. I think that it should be there. I think that the story is effective. I think the acting is spectacular. And I think it opens up a dialogue, and it opens up people talking about these hard issues in a way that we haven't had before. So I highly recommend that you read it or watch the TV show and let me know your thoughts below. Those are just my thoughts, but I am very excited to eventually rewatch 13 Reasons Why and check out season 2 when it comes out in 2018. But I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!